What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio in the building. And let's talk about UNC. Now, of course, we know every year around this time, the HBCU versus PWI debate always is in full force. And of course, this year is no different, but this time it started for a different reason. So it was a young lady that attends USC, the University of Southern California, that just made a Majorette team at USC. And she tweeted about it. She said that she created a Majorette team at PWI and performed at their first game. Truly, though, I'm so blessed. I can't thank God enough. Thank you to my parents and everyone who supported me along this long journey. And my girls, FYE, the Cardinal Divas of SC, are up next. And of course, HBCU alum, we weren't really with it because, of course, Majorette dancing is a fixture in HBCU life. And the tweet that I saw, that was the first tweet amongst many quote tweets, was you have big homie KODAQ that said, I'm perfectly fine standing on this hill by myself, but wanting HBCU culture at white schools instead of going to an HBCU is weird. And thus the onslaught started of the PWI versus HBCU debate. Of course, this debate happens all the time, and often it's because HBCU graduates have to defend, the reason why HBCUs are still in existence, why they're still a valuable asset to our community, and why our education is important, and while it doesn't pale in comparison to other institutions. We always have to fight this battle, and as HBCU alums, we are deputized to do this. But, this is interesting because this is a different salvo in that discussion, because typically, like I said, we're validating our experience, but this time we're not. Our experience and what we do at our institutions, from Princess, and her name is Princess Lang Zero, and shout out to her. This is not a diss to her. I think, that this is great that she decided to, start something such as this at her institution. But just, for me, the ignorance to the greatness and brilliance of HBCU culture is really what's it for me. And the understanding of safe spaces in the HBCU community, where at predominantly white institutions, you have a black student union and a black student union building and all these different things where you're creating your own custom at your institution, but you have an HBCU that is full of black excellence, that is full of black people that are intelligent, that are making things happen, and that are diverse amongst our culture and amongst ourselves. Like, it's a problem. Like, this is different to me because we have to fight for why we're relevant, why HBCUs are top tier, why students should attend HBCUs, why athletes should go with Jackson State and Deion Sanders and with these other premier Division I and Division II institutions. This young lady said, hey, I took the swag of HBCUs and was popping at HBCUs. I saw that and I brought it to this white institution. So to a certain point, she's saying that, hey, this is dope. So what I decided to do is I decided to bring that dope HBCU experience over here. And this young lady, to be fair, I don't think that she really wanted to make this a whole entire Twitter argument where her quote tweets are going dumb and going crazy right now, and her phone probably done exploded. I don't think that's what she wanted, but the ignorant comments like, oh, well, some HBCUs are more expensive than the white schools. That's not true. I know exactly what you're saying. You get minority scholarships and minority grants. I get it. But in totality, Spelman, that's the most expensive at HBCU, and you have white institutions that are more expensive than that. Like, I hear all the times about the occurrences of racism. We look at what happened at LSU where you had if a female athlete say the N-word. You had a bunch of instances of racial reckoning at predominantly white institutions that you don't see at HBCUs. Like, every institution has its problems. And I hate that when HBCUs are brought up by our folks, as well as by predominantly white institution students and alumni and stakeholders, they're like, well, y'all can't get y'all's house in order. Y'all can't get living for your residents. Like, there aren't predominantly white and predominantly black institutions that are not historically black that have these same issues. I hate that we pin these issues of, oh, well, black colleges, there's protests over the dorms, there's mold in the dorms, and there's all these different things. But at the same time, what's going on at other institutions? Why do HBCUs have to bear the brunt of, oh, HBCUs are so bad, but at the same time, other schools are dealing with the exact same thing? That's what I think is a bad faith argument here. What we're saying as HBCU alum, and I think I can articulate it for all of us, Majorette style was created at HBCUs. It was created at a place that we owned, operated, and controlled. And it's something that we did to celebrate our heritage and our culture. It's this derivative of African dance. And it's something that is popular and prominent at HBCUs, and even like Beyonce and celebrities appropriate and use that style and pay homage to HBCUs, like what Beyonce did with the homecoming special and what she did at the Super Bowl. So it's something that is big in our culture and that is big to us. And we wake up and we see that USC, all of a sudden now they have a Majorette dance team. And it's like, excuse me, this is an HBCU thing, and you wanted to create this Black experience at your predominantly white institution when you could have gone to an HBCU. That is what we're saying. And I just don't think that is so unreasonable to think that, because I think that the intelligent, educated brothers and sisters from predominantly white institutions, such as the University of Southern California and other institutions, I think that they're intelligent enough to understand what we're saying about representation. But they're looking past it to win an argument and to own us almost. Like, that's the part that is really making me upset. Because how is it hard to understand that we're trying to fight for the viability of our institutions? How is it hard to understand that an HBCU education and an HBCU experience is worth it? And that it's not only worth it, it's one of the best experiences you will ever get. And we build students and leaders and entertainers and actors and doctors and lawyers that are competitive, even more so than some graduates from other institutions that aren't HBCUs. That is what we're consistently fighting for. And now we're fighting for the appropriation of our culture. How can you get mad at us for feeling that way? I feel like saying that, oh, I'm bringing this HBCU experience to my PWI. I think that is almost like me bringing pizza to Burger King. Yeah, I brought pizza to Burger King, but it's Burger King. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a place for burgers and fries. Like, it's not a place for pizza. So yeah, you're bringing it and you might be enjoying it, but that doesn't change the fact that this is an institution that really under 100 years ago, you weren't allowed to go because segregation still existed. Like, that's the part that, as an HBCU alum that tries to see both sides, that I really do not like when it comes to the HBCU PWI argument. But also in this situation with this young lady, like I said, I don't believe that she was trying to do some HBCU PWI. Oh, I gotcha. We have majorettes at USC now. That was not her intention. I honestly, don't believe it. I think that she did this to say, hey, this is what I did. Thank you so much. But we, including me right now, we're turning it into a bigger thing. But you cannot pick and choose what you want from the HBCU experience. And I want to read what I tweeted. So I said, I think the big thing for us as HBCU alums is preserving our culture and the importance of our institutions. PWIs and predominantly Black institutions take the cultural aspects they like of the HBCU experience and leave us out the aspects that don't fit what they want. That's what upsets me. And I put HBCUs are safe havens for Black and minority students. Every institution has had issues that HBCUs get the most press for, but there's nothing that duplicates the HBCU experience for many reasons. And I will say it again, just like I said in that tweet. What I will say is that the problem that HBCU alum have with a lot of students and alumni at predominantly white institutions, when they swag surf, when they have different functions on campus, when the Greeks are strolling, when they're doing what is seen as traditional HBCU behavior and cultural norms, and they say, oh, we're building HBCU at our PWI. You're picking and choosing the battles and the cultural norms that you want for your institution, because there's more to attending an HBCU, and it's more that we deal with outside of swag surfing. It's more that we deal with than, a majorette dance. It's more that we deal with than dancing in unison to Before I Let Go. It's more that goes to an HBCU experience, the good and the bad, that molds us into the professionals that we are and what the students that are currently at these HBCUs are gonna be. And that's the part that I don't like about this bad faith argument when the HBCU versus PWI argument comes up. But I want to open up the floor to conversation. I believe that we can have a succinct and a real conversation about why this is right or wrong. And congratulations to this young lady. I want to say that first and foremost. Like, I think it's dope that she's bringing this to her institution, and clearly she has a passion for dance, and hopefully this does become a custom, because I'm not upset at the young lady herself, because this is a free country. She can do what she wants to do, especially if she's paying homage to HBCUs. But at the same time, As HBCU alum, we often are deputized to have to fight for why HBCUs are still relevant, why our schools are top tier, why we're not at the bottom, and now why our problems are the same problems that other institutions have to bring up. Because anytime an HBCU does something, oh, don't you have mold in the calf? Oh, don't y'all calf taste nasty? Bro, that's other schools too. There's housing crises at other schools, but no one else brings it up. And it gets frustrating. Like that, I always have to put on my war gear and go to war over HBCUs for ignorance. Like that's the part that really gets to me. But listen, I've said enough. I want y'all to chime in. So make sure to comment below what you're thinking if you're on YouTube. And if you want to tweet at the HBCU Pulse about how you're feeling about this situation, I definitely do that. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow HBCU Pulse on Instagram, the HBCU Pulse on Twitter, and the HBCU Pulse on TikTok. If you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, you're slipping. What you're doing. Subscribe to us and join our growing YouTube base. And last but not least, make sure to tap into HBCU League Pass Plus. We have our own streaming channel on the app. It's channel 201 on HBCU League Pass Plus. So make sure to download the app right now. It's available in iOS, Google Play, and also on Roku, Apple TV, and other smart TVs, and tap in with us. It's amazing. But thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you on the other side.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.